I spent the past 48 hours uh, arguing with people over X about Bill Belichick and his new 24-year-old girlfriend. I think this is an incredibly bad look for Bill Belichick. There are people over social media. Hey, how come Bill can't have fun? Jason, are you just jealous? What's going on here? Hey, they're two consenting adults. Leave it alone. You know what people do in their bedroom. That's all their business. Blah blah blah. I get it. I get it. But when one of the most respected coaches in all of sports trashes his own public image with this type of immature, irrational decision, just a bridge too far for me. I can't believe we're watching this. And this isn't me putting myself on some high horse. I've been accused of that over social media. That, oh, Jason Whitlock's just wagging his finger at another guy who's having fun. And man, bring back the old Whitlock. Where's Whitlock that used to love the strip clubs and blah, blah, blah. And Jason, you're a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite. I want to show you a picture of Kanye West and his new wife. And I think it's an incredibly bad look. I can't figure out what's worse. What's going on with Kanye West or what's going on with Bill Belichick? That's Kanye West and his wife in Paris. Maybe it's some wrestling. I don't know what event they're at, but that's Kanye parading his wife around like a sex object, and he does this all the time. And so I put the Kanye picture up next to Bill Belichick in Nantucket with his 24-year-old girlfriend. And I think it says something about America, American men, and just how much we've lost the plot, lost the desire to be leaders. Anytime Bill Belichick is in a similar lane as Kanye West, as a rapper, something's going on here. And when I say similar, you could say, oh, that's not a similar lane. Yes, it is. These are two men being led around by their DICK. One is a respected coach, perhaps the most respected football coach of all time. He's a clown no different than Kanye West, a rapper who, again, rappers are paid to put on a minstrel show. But both of these guys, this is weird behavior. This is a disgrace to men, and particularly as it relates to Bill Belichick, because our expectations for Belichick justifiably much higher than a rapper who has been a troll and an attention whore throughout his entire career. I'm sitting here blown away that Bill Belichick would do this. And of the two, I think what Bill Belichick is doing is worse. And I know some people will not like that, but it's just factual. And so let me not be a hypocrite and do what I do on this show. I try to be very transparent and very authentic. Put the comparison pictures back up. I'm going to tell you there was a time in my life that I used to fantasize about being pictured this way. There was a time in my life that I wanted to be the billionaire, millionaire, rich old man who had a young tenderoni at his disposal. There certainly was a time when I wanted to be a 40-something billionaire who had, basically some 35-year-old, I know he's calling her his wife, but basically he's made her his sex slave. There's multiple pictures of Kanye West and this woman. She's always dressed in a half-naked state. There's pictures of her squatting between his legs out in public, seeming to be orally pleasing him. There was a time that I used to fantasize about being that guy. Oh, in my 40s, super wealthy, hot sex slave. There was a time, oh God, when I reach, my 70s and 80s, I'll have some sugar baby. This is, I'm telling you, I used to think this way. And when I say used to, we can remove the deed, like we can remove the past tense. I still battle those demons. There's part of me that will never conquer my sexual lust. And there's other men that can relate to this. And certainly because I'm seeing a lot of men over social media tweet at me. And it's like, you must be jealous. Are you crazy? Let Bill have his fun. And I listen to these guys and I go, or I read their tweets to me and I say, this is what E. Michael Jones was talking about when he said sexual liberation is a tool for political control. And that's not me tossing Bill Belichick and Kanye West into any sort of political lane, but they're controlled by their sexual liberation. Bill Belichick builds up this impeccable reputation as a leader of men. And until we've seen him, now flossing around with his sugar baby, Bill Belichick was someone most men respected as a leader. And someone could say, hey, again, not that he's a perfect father, not that he's a perfect leader, but Bill Belichick could command a room and people had to respect him. Every football player that he will coach in the future will sit there and say, Bill Belichick's no different than us. He's led around by his DICK. He has no discipline. I think many people will have the right to say, hey, Bill, or do you have Epstein-type fantasies? And I hear people say, oh, that's unfair. She's 24, she's an adult. He's 72 years old. I had someone tweeted me, what's the difference between what Belichick's doing and Donald Trump? And I know there are people with Trump derangement that everything that happens, they always try to relate it to Trump. And I'm not here to defend Donald Trump. I just want people to understand there is a difference between a 78-year-old man being married to a 54-year-old woman. There is a difference between a 29-year-old woman meeting a 52-year-old man, dating him, marrying him when she is 35 and when he is 59. And there's a difference between two people that have been married now for 19 years. But there's a difference between that and a 72-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman. A major difference. There's a 24-year age gap in one of those scenarios, Trump and Melania, and a 48-year-old age gap between Bill Belichick and his little tenderoni. 24 and 48. That's, by my math, let me use my fingers, that's twice the age gap. That is a grandfather looking at his granddaughter or his granddaughter's friends and saying, oh, I'd like to have a piece of that. And not having the discipline to say, you know what, that's off limits for me. That's inappropriate for me. That's not right. That's immoral. That makes me look like a clown. And it makes people like me, who have the exact same struggle as Kanye and Bill Belichick. And say they have no governor. They have nothing that keeps them in check, nothing that commands them to do better. You don't have to live out every perverse sexual fantasy that's available to you because you've earned $100 million. You can be a better man than that. I'm not calling for righteousness. I'm just do better. I'm not perfect. There's no one that knows me, that knows, yeah, Jason likes younger women. No one. Every part of my history says that. But damn it, there has to be a line. When you're a grandfather, dating someone your granddaughter's age indicates that the great granddaughter isn't off limits either. And I'm just sorry. That's my opinion. That's the kind of clown Bill Belichick is making himself out to be. It looks to me like Bill Belichick has the same demons as that pastor in Texas that just had to step down. He has no governor. There's nothing that limits his sexual behavior. He's been captured. And what I mean by captured is like we have built a culture and a society that if you want to ascend to the very top, there's a level of sexual immorality that you must participate in order to move up, in order to reach the very top of your profession. That's every time I hear about one of these sexual scandals involving men and children or homosexuality or whatever, every time I'm like, oh, that's the price of admission. We have a sexual immorality cult that's running our society. And you have to ante up if you want to achieve financial success at the highest level or career success or to be celebrated. This is, to me, this feels like a humiliation ritual for Bill Belichick. And the reason I knew, and we've talked about it as it relates to rappers, that they have to bend over and take it up the rear, that they have to participate in all this weird sexual acts if they want to rise up in the music industry, if they want to stay at the top of the music industry. We knew that. What we're finding out now is this goes on for football coaches too. Anybody at the top of the pop culture food chain. This is the price of admission. That's the appearance this creates. If they have Bill Belichick, and I say that if they have Bill Belichick, because this doesn't feel organic to me. This feels orchestrated, as Stephen A. Smith has said. Everything's orchestrated. So why a month or two ago was it leaked out? Here's Bill Belichick leaving the house of his new girlfriend. And at that time, we didn't know the age of the girlfriend. But I'm like, here's shirtless Bill Belichick leaving the house of his girlfriend. How did this happen? You can't tell me all these security things people have on their doors. That's why this got leaked, that they all get leaked. Anybody that pushed that. How did this happen? What millionaire moves this way with his sugar baby? I'm not speculating here. I'm not distancing myself from Bill Belichick. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I know this world. Millionaires with status and a level of respect, they don't move this way. Their sugar baby hops in an Uber and comes to them, either at their home or at some high-end hotel. You don't go over to her house in some working class neighborhood and then sneak out the door shirtless at 5 or 6 in the morning. That's not the way it works. This is, I'm telling, this is part of a humiliation ritual. This is, I almost had TJ Moe on to have this conversation with me, and I don't say this disparagingly. I say this authentically. I didn't want to have the conversation with TJ because TJ doesn't know much about this world and this level of depravity that I'm talking about. I know a lot about it. And so I didn't want to put TJ in a spot where he's talking about things that he just doesn't know much about. I'm sure he's read about it. He's got common sense. He's a smart guy. He's very well versed in the Bible. He can understand it all. But there's parts of this conversation that if you don't have life experience, and I got a lot of experience in these lanes that I'm talking about. If you've listened to this show, I don't hide any of this. This isn't the way you move. This makes no sense. This is every great male leader is getting disgraced. Look around and think of virtually any of the men that we've had respect for. Just look at what we're dealing with, and I still like, respect, have affinity for Tony Evans. But damn it, he just fell over sin, undisclosed, that to me, common sense tells me has to be sexual sin, has to be another woman, has to be no discipline when it comes to his private part. You've got this Robert Morris, a mega church, 100,000 people. He just fell. He was a pedophile at some point. Maybe still is. Robert Kraft, billionaire owner of the New England Patriots. What was it, 5, 7 years ago? Massage parlor. Busted. Before catching the plane, he's running to a massage parlor. Billionaires don't move this way. I said this at the time. I was like, hey, man, this seems crazy. Why is he going to the massage parlor? Why isn't the massage parlor coming to his house? You're a billionaire. How can you can have, if you like rubbing tugs, you can have someone on staff. Cleaning lady, cook, chef, whatever you want to call her. It doesn't make sense. When I saw Robert Kraft on stage dancing with Cardi B, I'm like, what is going on here? This is all part of a sexual immorality cult, and all the power players seem to have to participate in it. And I know there are some of you that are sitting out there, again, she's 24 and he's 72. Let him have his fun. We can't fix what's wrong with American culture if all male leadership is this irresponsible. Is this controlled by their private parts? And so you guys know the biblical point of view on this. Sex between a man and a woman in a marriage. We all know the biblical point of view on this. So, I hate to do this because this show is about a biblical worldview. That is the standard. But I'm going to tell you what men used to do out of responsibility, out of just respect, we used to have a line in the sand. Like, I ain't going there. That's too far. Publicly, I'm not going to disgrace myself, my family. I'm not going to embarrass my kids. I'm not going to embarrass my parents. So I'm just telling you the way billionaires and people of power and men that felt some responsibility to maintaining some level of decency in a society, they would move in silence. There would be like a stand, like Bill Belichick would know, like, hey man, I'm Bill Belichick. Young men and coaches and just boys and men all over look at me as a leader. I have to set a standard. And so I'm never going to do anything publicly that damages the respect that young men and other men have for me. It's important for me to hold the line. And so this isn't a biblical suggestion I'm giving you, but I'm just telling you the way things used to be. Bill Belichick might like young women. He would keep that private. He would never let some 24-year-old get so close that he needs to parade her around Nantucket. He needs to take her to private meetings. He wouldn't do that to his own kids. Do you understand? Bill Belichick could have grandkids her age. This man has worked hard to build up a reputation of someone worthy of respect. And he's just throwing it all away. And I know many of you, and there will be people that will argue, it's like, oh, now he's more relatable to the players, and they're going to like him. And maybe that's the world we're building, where everybody wants to be relatable. No one wants to pass on wisdom and good advice. No one wants to set a standard. No one wants to obey Christ. No one even wants to pretend to obey Christ. No one wants to do the little things it takes to protect kids. And I can hear you. You'll be upset. I don't care. A 72-year-old man of Bill Belichick's stature, allowing this to get out publicly, parading this woman around publicly. You won't understand it, but I'm not backing off this. He's jeopardizing the safety of other young girls. Because the mentality of men is, and I've seen the conversations, I've been in the conversations with, I'm gonna keep it all the way real. I'm being tested by God right now. And there's a friend of mine that I've had for 5 or 6 years that's young and interested in me. 28, 29 years old. And I'm battling in my own, because there's a line I drew in the sand when I left California. Can't do it. Can't cross this line. 35, can't cross it. And really should be 40. Don't cross that line, Jason. And when I first heard the Bill Belichick story, my natural instincts, because again, I'm not special, guys. I'm no different than the rest of you all. I'm just as screwed up as everybody else. When I first heard the Bill Belichick story, the first thing I did was call a friend of mine in Kansas City. I'll say his first name, Dennis, because it's not I was like, man, you see what Belichick did? And I was like, see, Belichick did that. How come I can't do this? And my friend's like, Jay, don't do it. Blah, blah, blah. Try to talk some sense into me. But I'm just, it's hard. But there are sacrifices we have to make if we want to protect young people. And so when someone is respected as Bill Belichick and 72 years old, yeah, I can hook up with a 24-year-old, and I've been hooking up with her for a year or two since she was 22 or 23. What that does is give license to other men. It's like, well, hey, me at 35 and a 17-year-old. Me at 29 and a 16, a 15, a 14-year-old. Me at 72 and a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old. Bill Belichick, given his position, he's not Leonardo DiCaprio. And what I mean by that is we've known these Hollywood weirdos, we've known movie stars, we've known that Hollywood movie stars that 40 and 50 date 21, 22-year-old Playboy models. We've known that. And no one really cared. We know that rock stars hit the road, and they may be in their 50s, and they may hook up with 18, 19. We don't respect them. We know, hey, those guys drink and drug, and they got no rules, and they push the envelope. We all saw the movie Almost Famous. We know that athletes get divorced like Tom Brady. And next thing you know, they marry some 25-year-old. We get that. But coaches, leaders of men, 72 years old, Bill Belichick doesn't have the discipline to say, hey, man, 40's got to be my line in the sand. Because I'm setting a really horrible example for everybody else. So he can't figure that out. And that I'm making a clown of myself, and that I'm embarrassing my children. Men have fallen. Kanye West, what he's doing to this woman, when that documentary comes out about being Kanye West's sex slave, when that woman gets tired and decides to cash in and do her tell-all book, and we find out Kanye West, no different than R. Kelly. And I'm just sorry, Bill Belichick looks no different than Kanye West. They're both sexual fools being led around by their DICKs. That's just fact. And trust me, I'm confessing right before you. I'm capable of being led around by my private part. It's happened. But any serious person, anyone who aspires to leadership, has to fight that urge and that demon. And to see Bill Belichick do this, it's embarrassing. And we wonder why. We're getting the leadership we deserve from across the board. Bill Belichick is right. He looks no different than Hunter Biden. If we ever get a Bill Belichick laptop, we might find him doing coke off this little young girl's rear end. He no different than Hunter Biden, no different than Joe Biden, no different than any of these people. Barack Obama wrote love letters to some dude. It's a sexual perversion cult leading our country. And Bill Belichick is participating in the destruction of the image of men as leaders. We have no discipline. It's sad. And for Bill Belichick needs to repent, apologize, and leave that 24-year-old girl alone. And just so I'm crystal clear, I don't have a problem with grown men dating younger women. Bill Belichick was 40 and dating a 25-year-old girl, wouldn't care. He was 55 and dating a 30-year-old woman, wouldn't care. Jim Nance, I think, married some, around the same age, married some. No problem. Bill Belichick's 72 and dating a 45-year-old woman. I don't care. This is a 24-year-old child, and he's 48 years older than her. If he wants to be Hugh Hefner, Go run Playboy magazine or Hustler magazine or some porn website, we wouldn't care. But he hopped in a lane of respected leadership, football. And he wants to continue to coach in football and be seen as a leader of men. And there are people making the argument that this will help him. I've listened to people argue, particularly in the NBA, oh, we need a coach that can relate to us, that might hit the strip club with us or understands. Leadership is not about being some young dude's best friend. Leadership is about passing on wisdom to young people. Leadership is about realizing the mistakes that you made and praying that young people don't make the same mistakes. I've made these mistakes. I lived a part of my life where I was fantasizing. Yeah, I hope one day it'd be like Belichick and have me a little tenderoni when I'm 70. Or let me be in my 40s and Kanye and have me a little sex slave. That's all a mistake. That's all perverted thinking. That's all leads to destruction. It doesn't lead to a significant life purpose, true contentment and happiness. It doesn't lead to a better society. What it does, once you give in to your sexual perversion, you become sexually liberated, and you start, you got you a little sugar baby or whatever, it makes you start justifying everybody else's sexual perversion. You know why we got drag queens in schools teaching the little kids? Because men like Bill Belichick have no discipline. Because men like Kanye West have no discipline. Because we won't set a standard. We won't draw a line. We won't sacrifice anything. Whatever it takes to please our penis, we'll do. And that's why we'll say, well, you know, I like 25-year-old girls and I'm in my 60s. That's how I please my penis. And so I'm going to look the other way when some 45-year-old pleases his penis by gyrating it in front of a 10-year-old boy. Because you just want everybody to live and let live and love is love and blah, 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 blah. Because it makes you not look so weird. Well, I'm not so bad. My penis likes to enter young girls. I'm not as bad as that dude that's dressed up as a girl who likes to put his penis in little boys. That's what we've done as men, as we failed as leaders. This despicable. I've respected Bill Belichick for many years. Didn't always agree with him, but respected him for many years. I've lost all respect. And that's not me crawling on some high horse pedestal and wagging my finger and 72 and 24. A football coach with his reputation, do better. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.